Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All yours, Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Let me see if you can hear me okay. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So, Omni Kumar Mati, you can start, Mati. I'll share my screen. Devotees, please
Yes.
accept my humble.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadresha Nityam Bhagavata Sevayat Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda-gopa-kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajanaಭಾಯ Namo Pankajamaline Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangri. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, verses 29 to 43. Conversation between the Manu and Kardama. Text 29. She will bring forth 9 daughters from the seed sown in her by you, and through the daughters you beget, the sages will duly beget children. Text 30. With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command, designing to me the fruits of all your acts, you will finally attain to me. Text 31. Showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization, giving assurance of safety to all. You will perceive your own self as well as all the universe in me and myself in you. Text 32. O great sage, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife, Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or categories. Text 33. Maitreya went on, thus having spoken to Kardama Muni, the Lord who reveals himself only when the senses are in Krishna consciousness, departed from that lake called Bindu Sarovara, which was encircled by the river Saraswati. Text 34. While the sage stood looking on, the Lord left by the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, the path extolled by all the great liberated souls. The sage stood listening as the hymns forming the basis of the Samaveda were vibrated by the flapping wings of the Lord carriers Garuda. Text 35. Then, after the departure of the Lord, the worshipful sage Kardama stayed on the bank of Bindu Sarovara, awaiting the time of all of which the Lord had spoken. Text 36. Swayambhu Manu, with his wife, mounted his chariot, which was decorated with the golden ornaments. Placing his daughter on it with them, he began traveling all over the earth. Text 37. O Vidura, they reached the hermitage of the sage who had just completed his oaths of austerity on the very day foretold by the Lord. Text 38 and 39. The holy lake Bindu Sarovara, flooded by the water of the river Saraswati, was restored by hosts of eminent sages. Its holy water was not only as spacious but as sweet as nectar. It was called Bindu Sarovara because the drop of tears had fallen there from the eyes of the Lord, who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the sages who had sought his protection. Text 40. The shore of the lake was surrounded by the clusters of pious trees and creepers, rich in fruits and flowers of all seasons, that afforded shelters to pious animals and birds, which uttered various cries. It was adorned by the beauty of groves of forest trees. Text 41. The area surrounded with the notes of overjoyed birds, intoxicated bees wandered there, intoxicated peacocks proudly danced, and mercy chicooks called one another. Text 42-43. Lake Bindusarovara was adorned by flowering trees such as Kadamba, Champaka, Asoka, Karanja, Bakula, Asana, Kunda, Mandara, Kutaja, and young mango trees. The air was filled with the pleasing notes of the Karandava ducks, plavas, swans, ospreys, waterfalls, cranes, Chakravakas, and Chakoras. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So let me offer brief prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So in this section, the context of this chapter, third canto, 21st chapter is that Kardamuni, being a Prajapati, was doing lot of austerities to please Supreme Lord because he wants to create Praja, he wants to create population, he wants to create children to populate the universe on the order of Lord Brahma. So before he does that, is seeking the blessings of Supreme Lord so that he can get the best children possible like that. So we heard in the previous chapters how he did nice austerities for a lot of years. I believe it's 10,000 years. Then after doing that austerities, Supreme Lord was personally pleased with him, with his devotion service, and he appeared before him. So, and when he appeared, Supreme Lord appeared, then Supreme Lord Kardamuni offered beautiful prayers to Supreme Lord. And then in this section, let me go to the verse. Yeah, in this section, Supreme Lord is speaking personally to Kardamuni. The last verse, 29th verse we are talking about, is where Supreme Lord is almost last few verses. Supreme Lord is personally talking to him. So these are very significant because Supreme Lord is personally talking. Like how Bhagavad Gita verses, many of them, most of the verses are spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. Similarly, these verses are specifically spoken by Supreme Lord to Kardamuni. So they're very significant. Okay. So now going to the text, just before this verse, what happened in the last verse? Let me share my screen also so you can see. So yesterday, yesterday mean Friday, Himanshu Prabhu covered up 28th verse. In the last verse, we heard that Supreme Lord is assuring that Swayambhu Manu, the emperor of the universe, will come along with his wife Shatrupa and his daughter Devhuti, who is the princess. And he assured him that she'll be just the type that you have been thinking about in your heart all along. And she'll be the right wife for him, the way he wanted a wife like that. And then she says she will soon be yours and she will serve you to your heart's content like that. So just to recap, in this purport, Prabhupada emphasizes how when we depend on Supreme Lord completely for fulfilling all our desires, even then Supreme Lord can give the best even beyond our imagination, more than what we want, more than what we need. He will give the best for us like that. So this is a confidence we practice in devotees need to develop that Supreme Lord is my well-wisher. Supreme Lord will give the best I need anytime. Sometimes the best may appear to be as a distress right now, but still he knows how that can help me to go closer to him in my ultimate goal, in my spiritual goal. Like that, we need to have that confidence and depend on Supreme Lord. Of course, we also hear that as we progress in devotion service, we don't pray for material desires to Krishna. We pray for spiritual desires. That means we pray for Krishna Prema, the goal of life, or how Krishna can help us remove the obstacles in our devotion service like that. But If our consciousness is such, I was talking to a devotee yesterday, so if our consciousness is such currently that I'm so troubled by something material right now, some material troubling situation, material desire I have, I'm so troubled by it. Because of the trouble, my whole consciousness is absorbed in that only. I cannot think about Krishna. In that situation, instead of being absorbed in that and thinking that, oh, I should not ask Krishna anything, it's better to at least take our consciousness to Krishna at that time. So, and I was also explaining the via media between these two extremes. One extreme is only asking about spiritual desires to Krishna. One extreme is asking about only material desires to Krishna. The via media is we pray to Krishna. Krishna, I know my goal is to achieve Krishna Prema. I want to get Krishna Prema. I want to be in relationship with you. That is my goal. But what to do? I'm still troubled with material desires right now. So if you desire, if you so desire, and if this desire doesn't uh, come in the way of my going into devotion service, only if you so desire, please take care of it. Like that, we can pray. That's the via media. Of course, if you're not there, it's okay to pray for material desires fulfillment also directly. So, but the point is, uh, remembering Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna somehow or other. Okay, that's one thing I wanted to recap. So we'll go continue. Today's verse starts from Supreme Lord is speaking again. Remember that in perspective always. So Supreme Lord is saying, your wife, after you marry your wife Devahuti, she will have 9 daughters from you. And then if you give when you give those 9 daughters in marriage to 9 sages, they will beget children also with through them. Because that is the service to populate children in this universe, people in this universe, right? So Krishna is Ashuri. Don't worry, it's going to happen. You get children like that. Number one. Number two, in the one of the verses previously, he asked, "Please bless me with your causeless mercy," like that. Um, so now Supreme Lord is responding to that prayer also. What does he say? He's saying this verse is very important. He's saying, "With your heart cleansed by carrying out my command." That means by carrying out the instructions of Supreme Lord, then his heart will be cleansed. Number one is saying, Supreme Lord is saying. So what is the way we can cleanse our heart? Is by carrying out the instructions of the Supreme Lord and his representatives, our spiritual master, devotees, sadhus, like that. So when we follow the Supreme Lord's instructions and his devotees' instructions, then our heart also will be cleansed. That is one thing he mentioned. Second thing is resigning to me the fruits of all your acts. That means he's saying that you will give up all the fruits of activity to me. That means you will work for me. You will give all the results of activity to me. Even the work itself, you will work for me only, my pleasure. That means by doing these two things, what is happening? He's saying you will finally attain me. So this is the best thing that we can hear, right? How to attain Krishna is by carrying out his instructions and the instructions of his representatives, pure devotees, and then by working for Krishna. These are the two means of attaining Krishna. That's what we are hearing from him. Let me open the purport so we can discuss something more from purport. So Prabhupada covers 2, 3 verses from Bhagavata that are emphasizing how we should do everything to please Krishna. Not just I'll do work for my pleasure and then I'll give some money to Krishna. That is also required. That is the lower stage of devotion service. But more important than it, that is, I want to do the work so that I can practice devotion service. That is the consciousness we as practicing develop and devotees develop. That is one aspect Prabhupada is emphasizing in the purport. So all the activities, whether for family welfare, whether for society, country, or humanity at large, must be performed in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is emphasizing in the purport. So then Prabhupada is extending how I was mentioning the Krishna's order to representative's order. You say, if we act in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the Lord and his representative, that's where Prabhupada is adding. Then everything is sanctified, purified, like that. If you remember in the first canto, I believe in the seventh chapter probably, Bhishma Dev prayers, Bhishma Dev is instructing, before Bhishma Dev prayers, Bhishma Dev is instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj. That time, Bhishma Dev tells, "Oh, you have suffered so much in your life, and don't think that you are responsible for all the killings of the Kurukshetra war only because of you want to become king. That's why everybody got killed. Don't think like that. Uh, the way to assure that all good fortune will come to you, that you will be in a Supreme Lord shelter, is by doing three things." Bhishma Dev says. One of those three things is this. So one is, actually, two of those aspects are covered in these verses. So one of this aspect is they act under the guidance of Vaishnava, Brahmana Vaishnavas, like that. So that means act under the guidance of Guru and Sadhu, our Diksha and Shiksha Guru, number one. Number two, act in such a way so as to please the Supreme Lord. The second aspect also is given in this verse. Yeah, those two things is. So act with the direction of Guru and Sadhu, because we don't know how to please Supreme Lord directly. So we take the direction of Guru and Sadhu and Shastra, and then act accordingly to please Supreme Lord. Two things. And third thing Bhishma Dev mentions is that um, act. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, third one is principles of religion. Yeah, act in such a way that you're following the principles of religion, he says. That means when we understand what are the principles of devotional service for us, we act according to that, not go against that, not do unfavorable way like that. So act in a act according to principles of religion. That means whatever is right according to religion standards, according to devotional service principles, do that to please Krishna, and for that follow the guidance of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, like that. So the three things, if you remember, then we don't need to worry what will happen to me. Oh my God, will I go there? Will I get this? Will I get that? No, we'll, as long as we follow these three things, we're assured of spiritual success also. That's what Vishwadev is assuring us. So two of those elements we can see personally. Supreme Lord is telling us here. Follow the instructions of Guru and Krishna, and then act in order to please me. Act for me, like that. That's one important lesson we can learn from this verse, 30th verse. Now going to the 31st verse. He says, showing compassion to all living entities. Prabhupada emphasizes later on in the purport that when you get married as a grostha, you show compassion to all living entities. That's what Prabhupada is clarifying for us. Okay, when does he do this? Like that. So the word is used is compassion is daya. Supreme Lord is telling. Supreme Lord is telling, while you are a devotee, while you are a grihastha, while you are in married life, please show compassion to other living entities. First point is saying. And then you will attain self-realization. So through that, you will attain self-realization. Number one. That means you'll become a devotee. You grow in devotion, become pure devotee. Yeah. By doing this also. Okay. Apart from our sadhana, we also do seva for other living entities. That's what is being explained here. Prabhupada has a big purport in this for this verse, but essentially he's telling us that devotee works in such a way that we are in one with the will of the Supreme Lord. What does Supreme Lord wants? Supreme Lord wants all of us to practice devotion service, all of us to become happy eternally and with ever growing happiness. So, if you are trying to help in bringing somebody closer to Krishna by giving him something to get in devotion service, then that is also being in one desire with Krishna, because Krishna has a desire to get everybody, and we are helping in that desire. We have the desire to help everybody to go towards Krishna. That means we are in one desire with Krishna, like that. That's one important theme Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport. Then he also explains in the purport that everything, impersonalist things, oh, Supreme Lord became this whole universe, whatever we're seeing around us, and now Supreme Lord is no more there. That's the incorrect understanding Prabhupada is talking about. He's saying the correct understanding is like sun and sunshine. Even though sun is there, sunshine is spread everywhere. Similarly, and there are all planets in the sunshine. That doesn't mean that the sun is gone, wiped out now. Similarly, Supreme Lord is there in the spiritual world, and Supreme Lord expands with his different energies in the material world, so that everything we see around us, including ourselves, are manifested from Supreme Lord. We are all part and parcel of Supreme Lord. So that's the other aspect is giving Prabhupada in the purport. So what does that mean? If everything is coming from Supreme Lord, what does it mean? That means everything should be engaged in Krishna's service. That's the other point Prabhupada is making in the purport. Now, Prabhupada is also clarifying this particular point. So, about the compassion that we need to show as a grihastha, as a householder, as a married persons, married families, we need to show compassion to other living entities. So, and that's how we can also progress. We don't just progress by just doing our sadhana, chanting, hearing, reading, that only, but we need to do some service for others to help them to go closer towards Krishna. That's how we can attain self-relation. Supreme Lord is personally telling here. God, hope that is clear. Then Prabhupada goes to the discussion of three classes of devotees: third class devotees, second class devotees, first class devotees. Prabhupada doesn't go into technical terms, but we know from Nectar of Instruction and other scriptures that these are described as Kanishtadhikari devotee or a third class devotee, Madhyamadhikari devotee or second class devotee, or Uttamadhikari devotee or the first class devotee. So Prabhupada is describing third class devotee doesn't bother about anybody, only me, 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 me. Even in spiritual life, me, 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 me. They don't care about others like that. They only care about how to worship Supreme, and I don't care about other devotees and other non-devotees also. I don't care about anybody like that. That's the third class Prabhupada is describing. And Prabhupada is describing second class devotees are one, they're always cognizant that I am servant of Krishna, eternal servant of Krishna, and serves Krishna. And then he makes friendship with the devotees, other devotees, so that they can progress together in devotion service. And then he shows compassion towards innocent creatures, innocent devotees, innocent people who wants to have some interest in devotion service. He gives them their mercy, his mercy. He gives them a book. For example, this month is Gita Marathon. We give opportunity for others to take up a Bhagavad Gita or a Prabhupada book, and so that they can read and benefit and they can come closer to Krishna. Or if they already have Bhagavad Gita, we give them opportunity. Would you like a case of Bhagavad Gita and give it to your friends? And if they say we already gave to all our friends, okay, would you like to give some money, sponsor Bhagavad Gita, so that we can give it to others who who need Bhagavad Gita, like that. Like that, second class devotee shows compassion on others. It's not that when somebody is giving, going out for asking for money for the temple, they're not asking so the temple can run like that. The point is so that others will benefit actually more than the temple can be run. So others will benefit from giving that money, because from giving the money, they're getting the sukruti. Through that, they're growing in devotion service. And by giving that money, they're also making their first investment to accept devotion service in a simple way first. So that way, they're actually contributing to the will of the Lord. That means they are also working towards the will of the Lord now. That's how we're giving the opportunity to others like that. So like that, second class devotee is compassionate towards innocent people. And then he's also avoids the envious people. If somebody is so envious to Supreme Lord, they don't want to hear about Krishna, they don't want to hear about ISKCON, we leave them alone. Because if we go and agitate them, they will go more farther away from Krishna. That is why we leave them alone. Not because we don't like to be we don't like to hear no, because no will come. The more we try to spread this knowledge, the more people will say no, no, because they don't know the importance of this knowledge like we know currently. So that's expected. So that is a second class devotee. And of course, first class devotee is one who gives takes away fear from all. That is the second portion of that verse. Giving assurance of safety to all you will pursue your own self as well as all universes in me. That means everything you will see in Krishna. And Krishna as Shirosha, Vishnu or Paramatma is in him, is in himself also. So this is a Prabhupada is describing the purport. This is describing when Kardamuni goes out from Grahastha life to retirement and renunciation, sannyas life, that time he will preach and he'll give fearlessness to everybody. So that is what a first class devotee does, like that. Prabhupada is writing also in the purport. Now, uh, Prabhupada emphasizes the importance of, as a Grihastha, showing compassion to others, giving mercy to other fallen souls, like that. And he tells us the little bit detail how to do it also. He tells us, as a householder, we are earning money. Sannyasis don't earn money. Brahmacharis don't earn money. Vanaprasthas don't earn money. So we need to be merciful, not only to those brahmacharis and sannyasis who are practicing spiritual life, but to people who not yet started the spiritual life also. How do we be merciful for that? Prabhupada is saying we need to uh, dedicate some portion of our income for spreading Krishna consciousness. In this particular purport, Prabhupada talks about 50%. But depending upon our circumstances currently, our capacity currently, we can dedicate some amount of money for that. And then Prabhupada is specifically telling we can invite others to come to our home so that they can hear kirtans, they can hear classes on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's how we can share Krishna consciousness with others to please Krishna, like that is telling Prabhupada. As a Grihastha, that is each of us can take that into our heart and do our best in our capacity. So that's what Prabhupada is emphasizing the purport. So now Prabhupada goes on to the sannyas life of Kadamani, meaning how he should give assurance of safety to all, how he should give fearlessness to all. He tells, as sannyasi, when we become sannyasi, one of the responsibility we have is to go house to house and preach Krishna consciousness. Not that I will stay in the temple, I don't want to go to somebody's home. It's unnecessarily inconvenience of travel, inconvenience of going to somebody's home and then take their hospitality. Why bother somebody? Not like that. Sannyasi goes to others' homes and then preaches the message of Krishna consciousness. And how can he give fearlessness? Because he himself is in a higher state of devotion service. We know devotion service gives us freedom from soka, lamentation, moha, illusion, bhaya, fear. That we know many places in Bhagavatam is described. So because the sannyasi himself, the greatest first class devotee, himself is free from fear. Is because he has the assurance that Krishna will take care of me no matter what. That's why he can give the same thing to others. If I don't have something, I cannot give to others. So that's the other aspect Prabhupada is emphasizing in the purport. Now, next going to 32 verse. So now, Maitreya is further describing that, oh, this is 32 verse, right? Yeah. So this is still Supreme Lord speaking. So interestingly, previous verse we saw how he told that you will attain self-realization and by showing compassion to others and by giving fearlessness to others. We heard that. Now Supreme Lord is saying, he didn't ask him this, but he is personally, Supreme Lord is so pleased. He is saying, I shall become your son also. I'll expand myself and I'll become like Kapila Dev as your son to Devhuti along with your 9 daughters, like that. And what will I do when I come as your son? I will instruct your wife Devhuti in the philosophy of Sankhya. That's what Prabhupada is elaborating in the purport for us. Basically, Prabhupada is emphasizing one more theme in the purport, that Supreme Lord's name, form, qualities, and teachings are not different from Supreme Lord. That is what he is emphasizing in the purport also. That means when chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is not different from Krishna. When we know that, when we chant with respect, affection, and very sincerely, whatever attention we can get, we can put that much attention to chant holy name. And same thing when we are reading or hearing scriptures or from scriptures also. So that's the other aspect Prabhupada writes in the purport. So And also Prabhupada writes the purport about how Supreme Lord's expansions are non-different in the sense that they are full of same potency, like that is describes also in the purport for us. So that's the other aspect from 32 verse. Going on to 33rd verse, from here storyline starts, further expands basically. Until now what we heard is a conversation between Supreme Lord himself personally and Kardamamani. Now, after Supreme Lord instructed Kadamani and told him that whatever you wishing for, I will take care of it. You will have 9 daughters, you will have one son, and that son is none other than myself by expansion only. And not only that, you will achieve your supreme goal, you will attain me by giving compassion to others and by giving fearlessness to others. Like that, he described already. Now, what is happening is, Supreme Lord, uh, left that place called Bindu Saravara, which is surrounded by river Saraswati, it seems. So now he says, one point here Prabhupada emphasizes is Supreme Lord reveals himself only when somebody is purified with Krishna consciousness, when somebody's senses are spiritualized. Otherwise, we cannot see Krishna. That's why he is called Adokshaja, the one who is beyond the material senses, like that. Then how can we see then Supreme Lord? Is by developing devotion service for him, and by developing the devotion for him, and by rendering service to him, then Supreme Lord will give us mercy, and through that mercy our senses, material contamination of our senses will go away, so our senses become spiritualized. That means they become purified, and that time with those senses we can see the Supreme Lord, like that. That's what Prabhupada explains in the purport. That's the importance of this particular sentence. The word given is pratyag akshaja, like that. That means with our senses, we can see Supreme Lord, who can normally be not seen with our senses. So we can see him by engaging in devotion service, like that. Going to the 34th verse, while the sage Kardamani was looking, the Supreme Lord went away to the path of Vaikuntha Loka. While he was going, he was listening the Samaveda prayers, it seems. That when Garuda was flapping his wings, the Samaveda prayers were being sung. So that's so Supreme Lord was listening. So it's described in the purport that many demigods chant different Vedic hymns, including Samaveda, for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. That's why that is described here. And also Prabhupada emphasizes in this purport that Kardamuni was liberated. That's why you could hear that Samveda mantras. You could see the Supreme Lord like that. That's the other point Prabhupada makes in the purport. So now, going to 35th verse. Then he says, after Supreme Lord departed, Kardamuni stayed back on at the bank of the Bindu Saravara. Why? Because Lord told him in 2 days, uh, Swayambhu Manu will come along with his daughter, wife Satrupa and daughter Devhuti. He will give you in marriage. Like that he told, right? So he's waiting for that moment now. There's no purport for this. Now in the 36th verse, Swayambhu Manu started from there, along with his wife Satrupa and a chariot decorated with golden ornaments, it seems. And he placed his daughter Devhuti also on the chariot, and they all started traveling all over the earth. In this purport, Prabhupada emphasizes that Swayambhu Manu, even though he is emperor of the whole world, he didn't say, "Oh, my dear servant, go find a son-in-law for my daughter, husband for my daughter." He didn't say like that. Because he loves his daughter, he personally took the responsibility and he started searching for a son-in-law, suitable husband for his daughter. That's an important lesson for us also. Those who have children, especially daughter, it's our important responsibility to find a suitable husband for our daughter. And there are different sections where what suitable husband means is given in Bhagavatam also. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Now text 37. Text 37. What does it say? Oh Vidra. They finally reached the Kardamuni's ashrama. He just completed his vows for the day, it seems. And then he came on the same day as Supreme Lord predicted also, is given like that. And then from this verse on 38th verse onwards, is basically is describing how beautiful atmosphere was there near Bindu Sarovara. How Bindu Sarovara was so wonderful, how the place surrounding Bindu Sarovara was so wonderful for practicing spirituality. That is the key point. And so it was a pious place with pious trees, pious animals, pious birds. That is the essence of this section, but we'll go through that. So it says the holy lake Bindu Sarovara flooded by waters of river Saraswati. And that is where sages were living there for spiritual practices. And the holy water was very auspicious and was very sweet as nectar also. And why was it called Bindu Saravara? Because when Supreme Lord personally came to see uh, Kardamani, he was overwhelmed with pleasure, it seems, happiness to see his devotee. And in that happiness, he shed some tears. The tears mixed with the water. That's how the Bindu Saravara became so auspicious. This is compassion of the Lord mm, for the Kardamuni, his devotee. So that's what Prabhupada explains in the purport also. And then he explains how this water, because it came from Supreme Lord, is so purifying, similar to how Ganges can also purify one from all material diseases. These drops are also very purifying, like that Prabhupada writes in the purport. On the 40th verse, on the shore of that lake, Bindusaravara, there were pious trees and creepers, is described, rich in fruits and flowers of all seasons. So 2 points here. That means there are within the trees, Prabhupada explains, there are some pious trees, some impious trees. So those trees which have nice fruits and nice flowers are considered pious, and otherwise they are called impious, Prabhupada writes in the purport. And then and these pious trees also give shelter to pious animals and birds. And it was at Binduleka Sarovar, it was surrounded by the beauty of groves of forest trees. And then Prabhupada writes, every bird sang the glories of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like that also Prabhupada writes. They sing in the glories of the Lord. That is the pious birds also. And then the last verse we'll cover today. 42nd, 43rd, I'll leave it for tomorrow's for Sri Krishna Prabhu to cover. But the essence is same. The area resounded with notes of overjoyed birds. Birds were happy and they were singing. And similarly, intoxicated bees wandered everywhere. Intoxicated peacocks danced proudly, and merry cuckoos called one another. Like means they're making nice, pleasant sounds, it seems. That's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. The bird sounds were all pleasant. That's why it's called pious birds. So Prabhupada writes, I think the next verse probably. Let me see. In one of these verses, Prabhupada also writes how birds like crows are like impious birds like that. And then birds like cuckoos who make nice sounds, or peacocks which are dancing nicely. They are pious birds also. Prabhupada writes in the purport like that. So, so we can pause here. Essentially, we heard Supreme Lord talking to Kardamuni and assuring him that he will achieve spiritual perfection no matter what by giving compassion to others while he's a householder like Grostha or like most of us. And then when he becomes sannyasi, by giving fearlessness to us, by preaching nicely, and by sharing the determination, conviction that he has, and the fearlessness that he has with others, like that, he will get you the success in spiritual life. He also told him that he will get 9 daughters. And then one son, he will personally become his son and he will propagate Sankhya Yoga, like that he told. And then he left. And that time we heard that the place itself was such a nice place, Bindu Saravara, with pious trees, pious animals, pious birds, and the place is suitable for spiritual cultivation for the sages, like that. That's what we'll hear a couple of verses before we hear on the arrival of Swayambhu Manu and a beautiful conversation between Swayambhu Manu and Kardamani. So we'll end there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. That's all for our obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kupasandu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yeah,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare